Hi everyone, I'm Hales and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to all new subscribers, all existing subscribers, and all of you who are not yet subscribed. If you're not, then feel free to hit that button down below so you can keep track of all the new videos which are coming out. I'm going to be showing you everything that I made in the month of May this year, and before anybody asks, no, I didn't make this. This was off the sale rail last year in a shop, and it's just comfortable, so I'll wear that because I've been filming cutaways which I'm going to place here of all the different things that I've made. I've got 6 things to show you today, and then I was a bit hot and I was like, this is what I was wearing today anyway, so I was like, oh, I'll just put it back on again. So if anybody knows of a pattern which would be like this, look, let's just get distracted before I start. So it has elastic here and it has some buttons here, but it has this really nice trim and the trim there, and it's not natural fibre, but it actually is quite cool and comfy to wear. It's some kind of jersey. Anyway, moving on, and let's just dive in and I'll show you what I've made. Now the first 4 things that I've got to show you are made up of 2 outfits, as it were. So I have put them on together, but I have showed different camera angles basically. So I've done one which shows the top half, and then I would like pan down and then showing the bottom half. The clue is in there. I will get my trusty notepad and I will launch straight in. So the first thing that you're seeing is the Diana top by Style Arc Patterns. I made this last month. Well, technically it's June, so it was the month before that. I made one in April. I can't remember, a couple. I think I made 2 in April. If you haven't checked out my April makes, I will link it up above or down below in the description box. You'll find it somewhere where I go into more detail about this. But basically the Style Arc Patterns, they didn't give any kind of facing or binding to go with that V-neck. And I did email them and ask, and then they sort of said you could put some elastic in and then fold it over. So I thought I would try and make a binding, like a band, neck band, not binding, band, neck band. How many times can I say band in one sentence? For the top, thinking it would make it easier for the V-neck. So I found some instructions from Professor Pincushion on her YouTube channel, made it, and it was too big, so then it brought the V-neck really in and there wasn't that much stretch for the way. It was a ponte just out of my stash, but because of the fabric there wasn't like a 4-way stretch or 2-way stretch, so it wasn't that stretch. It was too big and it just didn't look right, so I cut it off and then just tried folding under and then stitching. And as it's a black fabric, I can get away with it. If I was doing, if it was a pattern fabric, so then you could see where the stitching was, it would probably look terrible. But I just made it just to see what it would be like, really to experiment, and it was fine once I cut it off and just folded it under. So I'm not sure on the length, it is quite long, and I'm not sure if it then ends up on my hips, which is like my widest part at the minute. So I'm not sure. The thing that I'm wearing with it is a skirt, and that is what I made. I made the long version, I think that was in April, in blue. And this was a green fabric that I got from Fabric Godmother online. She's online in the UK. And I think from memory it was a viscose lawn. Some kind of viscose, because it stretched out and I did have to let it hang for a bit. I didn't line it because normally I go into a fabric shop and then I find like a cheap cotton or something like that which is sort of breathable and thin and cheap, and then I buy some of that and then I have it in my stash and I use that as lining fabric, because I have got some of that awful sweaty anti-static lining and it's just way too hot for that, so I didn't bother. So I haven't lined it, so it is a little bit see-through, but it's quite cool to wear. And I wasn't sure on the size because this is from their Amazing Fit range with Simplicity. I will put photos in, I'll probably already put it in amongst my ramble. Simplicity Amazing Fit 2058. Now this has 1-inch side seams, 1-inch side seam allowance, so then you can then take it in. So I didn't realise the first time I made it up, and then I actually read the instructions and it was like, oh, you've got like, they give you loads, then you can take it in. So I made the size really according to my hip size, but in a way it probably could, I did take quite a bit in, I kept taking in and in at the waist. I think it does need to come in again more because it hangs quite low on where I would normally have a skirt to sit. It has facings, not my favourite, but I have done a few stitches, stitched in the seams, and then a few hand stitches just to keep that down. And I did sew a piece of ribbon in at the centre back, just so I knew the back from the front, but it's a invisible side zipper on my left hand side. That's it, it's fairly straightforward, there's not much more to say about it. Okay, the second outfit is something which I thought might be work appropriate. I mean, I'm not at work at the minute. Half the schools, well, the schools are all shut, but they're opening gradually. I have no idea what's going to be happening with my job, with the school, or anything like that. I don't think anybody knows at the minute. But at some point I would like to have a job to go back to. And so I thought, well, it probably won't be summertime and really hot weather, but I will need something work appropriate and to accommodate the lockdown weight, because basically I spent 3 months baking and eating cakes and biscuits. So I'm actually, as we film this, I'm on day 2 of the diet, and it just means all I'm thinking about is my next meal, and I'm just hungry, and I'm just drinking like 1 million gallons of tea and water just to take my mind off the fact that I probably want to snack on something. But because of that, I thought I would make something which has kind of like an adjustable waist to it, and I didn't want to just go down the route of having an elasticated skirt, because it's not always that flattering on me, because you get all the gathers around the stomach area, which is the area I want to avoid. So I'll get to that in a second, but the first one, because I realised I filmed the top first. The top is the Astair tee by French Navy Now Patterns. I've made it once before in a cotton jersey, which it has side splits on the cotton my first one, and in the pattern it has side splits, but the way it hung was just like straight off my chest down, and it didn't like pull in, and I just didn't find it very flattering. It didn't sort of show any shape or anything. So this version, I stitched down those side seams because it should have like a big chunky hem with the side splits. So I got rid of that, and I actually added about 2 inches of length to it. I probably added a bit too much. It was a really super slinky jersey that I got off eBay, probably a viscose jersey, but it almost feels quite woolly, but it is quite see-through. But because of the spots, I thought that that would disguise anything and it would still be work appropriate. So it has like the kimono sleeves, and then you do turn up and then stitch, but because it's such a floppy fabric, it comes undone. So I think I will put some hand stitches in there just to keep that sort of folded up cuff nice and neat, because it is just drooping, and the 2 places where they told you to stitch are not enough. So the skirt is the Miette skirt by Tilly and the Buttons, and I've seen Karen from So Little Time. She's on Instagram, but she was doing Me Made May, and she'd made quite a few that she'd made some and she was wearing them quite often. I don't know if she's made loads or whether she just had a few which fitted in on a few of those days. She also has a YouTube channel, so I'll link her channel down below. She reminded me of this pattern when I saw it, because it's a wraparound skirt and it's a tie wrap, and it's quite clever in that it wraps at the back. I have tried to badly illustrate this in a video. So it wraps at the back, and it does almost like a whole section that wraps over. So if you get any kind of wind or anything like that, you are completely covered. But because it has ties that you feed through, it does mean that it is kind of adjustable, but it's flat at the front and back. It is quite a nice fit, and it's quite a good skirt actually, or good pattern should I say. I made it in a viscose. I got that off eBay. Now the reason my eBay purchases is, well, this one was because I had placed some orders with online shops, but I knew that their deliveries were taking like 2 to 3 weeks at the time, because it was last month. But I knew also that eBay, people on eBay were sending things out a lot quicker, so I was just impatient to get going and making something. So I ordered this. I ordered 2 meters. Oh, 2 meters. This was a viscose. I put it straight in the wash, and I lost so much due to shrinkage. So when I come to fold the selvage over, instead of being like that, one was literally like that and then out again. So I had 2 meters, the skirt says 2 meters with pockets. I did not have any, I wasn't going to in a lightweight material anyway, put the pockets on, but it has these sort of big patch pockets. There was no fabric at all left over to even cut 1 pocket, let alone 2 pockets. So bear that in mind if you want to go and make this skirt out of a similar fabric. Due to shrinkage and things, you may need 2.5 meters if you want to do the pockets, because they're like giant size pockets. Pockets. So I made it without pockets. It's a wraparound skirt. It will adjust to expanding or shrinking, hopefully shrinking waistlines by the time I get back. I thought it was a nice length, being sort of work appropriate. Just a nice little pattern. I delayed filming my May makes this month purely because of what was going on in the world, and so I did mute on Instagram for about a week, and in that week a new group emerged called Black Makers Matter. So I would urge you to go over on Instagram if you're on there and go and follow that group, because there's going to be some exciting things coming up. There's some people from that sewing movement group, whatever you want to call it, and they are going to meet with some of the big names at the main like pattern companies like McCall's and Simplicity, I believe, to discuss diversity in the sewing community and in their patterns. And I think at the minute they haven't met yet, so I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen as a result of it, but hopefully something positive. Then go and check them out. I'm on Instagram as well, and I'm keeping an eye out, and obviously I will then keep an update on my channel, and that may influence maybe some new patterns if I discover some new designers that I can maybe make their patterns as well, which will then feature in monthly makes. But I just wanted to nip in the middle of the makes video and just make you aware of it if you haven't already heard of that group. I'm sure you have, because I think they reached like 10,000 followers within a day, and it's just creeping up really quickly. Okay, 2 more things. So make number 5 was a plain chain tee by Deer & Doe Patterns. It is their free PDF t-shirt pattern, which comes in a 3/4 length sleeve with optional elbow patches or short sleeve. It's been edging on summer here, so of course I went for short sleeve, and I made this fairly recently in a different fabric, and it was cotton jersey again. It was tight. I think that was April makes actually. It was tight like from here around the back, and so I graded out. This one's a viscose jersey, so it's a lot more stretch to it anyway, but I just didn't want it being so tight around the back, so I just, where I had initially graded out, I then actually graded out going up, so I add a bit of width there at the bust, so it was a bit more comfortable. 1 meter fabric from my stash. I think it was from Minerva ages ago. Unfortunately, when I was ironing it today, I have noticed it is starting to bobble a bit, which is a bit annoying because I literally just made it and I've only worn it a handful of times. But it's a good disguise if you, like me at the moment, you have got a bit of a belly or a mum tummy or anything you're a bit conscious of. At first I thought this pattern was a bit like maternity-like, but now if you get the fit right, it does just skim. It just skims your stomach, and it's a really good length as well. And so I find like with jeans, it finishes at a good point, and it just, I don't feel like I'm sort of sucking in if I have to sit down. So that is make number 5. Make number 6 is New Look 6614, and I made View A. I initially bought this pattern after seeing Vivmom Sews, who bought it last year, and she made the asymmetric pattern in like I think it was like black and silver, and it looked really nice, and I thought, wow, it's just an unusual design. I had it, and then I thought, actually with View A, because View A is completely different and it's more of a sundress, but it has these really long waist ties. I feel like I'm gonna sneeze, sorry. I thought that would pull it in or expand out with changing size at the minute. So that's what I did. I had 2 meters of viscose, which I bought locally, and to be honest with you, I've seen quite a few dresses and things pop up in this exact same fabric. And it's strange because as sewers, we don't want to make things which we don't want to go and buy something from the shop because everyone's then got the same stuff. So we want to make unique things. But then I've seen at least 3 other vloggers or bloggers make things with this exact same fabric. So it did kind of put me off a bit, but I thought, well, I've got it in my stash anyway, so I'll use it. So I only took 2 meters, and it takes 2 meters purely for the length, as she reaches across here, of the straps, because they are really long, because they basically wrap round twice. They round to the front, round to the back, and then I tie at the side, and the same with the Miette skirt. I tie it at the side, not at the front, because if I don't want the attention drawn to my stomach area, I'll tie it at the side, and I find that a bit more flattering on me. But it's a really good make. I think it would look nice going out, and I wore it to the shop actually. I actually went out to the shop, to do the food shop, and just popped a denim jacket over it, and it went really well. I do have to wear a strapless bra with it. I know that might put some people off, and I'm sure if you mess around with the strap placement, it'll be fine. I'm just not a big fan of thin dress straps and then having a bra strap that you can see, because even if you do line it up, we're at the back, you always see it peeking out. I prefer to have the feel of it than just have the strapless bra and just have that strap and not worry about having to adjust it to make sure it covers up underwear and things. So that's just my personal taste. I turned the straps with my loop turner. I did say to do something else, is turn it inside out. I mean, it was really tricky to do that, so I just put my loop turner in and then whoop, and then put it through like that, and then stitched. What did I do? Oh yeah, so the pattern suggests halfway through to leave a gap, and then you then try and like fold it under and pull it out. I just didn't bother, so I cut the end off the strap, put my loop turner through, and then just turned it inside out, and it was so much easier. And if you don't have one, get one. They're not very expensive, and they save so much time of trying to, like, with a crochet hook or something like that, trying to turn it inside out. Forget it, just do that. And then I slip stitched, I think it was, the ends of the straps, because the ends are actually tied into a they say to tie it into a knot at the end, and this, I think I either slip stitch it at the end or just whizzed it through the machine. I think I might have slip stitched it by hand so it wouldn't fray out or anything, and that was that. So they are my 6 makes. Also follow me on the Instagram for any updates if you're interested in that, and I will see you again next time.